January 30th, 2026. Crans, Montana, Switzerland. Lindsey Vonn is carving down a training run when her inside edge catches. The ski twists. Her knee buckles inward. She goes down hard. 48 hours later, the diagnosis comes back. Complete ACL rupture, meniscus tear, bone contusion. The kind of injury that ends seasons, ends careers, ends Olympic dreams. Here's what should happen next. Emergency surgery, 9 months of rehab, maybe she comes back, maybe she doesn't. Here's what actually happened. 6 days later, she's back on skis. Training, preparing to race in the Olympic downhill with a completely severed ligament inside her knee. This shouldn't be possible. In basketball and soccer, in football, an ACL tear is a full stop. You cannot cut. You cannot pivot. You cannot play. But Lindsey Vonn isn't playing basketball. She's about to launch herself down a mountain at 80 miles per hour on a blown-out knee. And somehow the physics say it might actually work. This is the story of how a 2-pound plastic boot can replace a ligament. How decades of muscle memory can override a catastrophic injury. And why the most dangerous part of this entire gamble has nothing to do with the knee at all. I'm Sebastian, and this is the Injury Breakdown. Let's start with what actually broke. The ACL, the anterior cruciate ligament. 4 syllables that make every athlete's stomach drop. It's basically a thick rope inside your knee, about as thick as your pinky finger, that stops your shin bone from sliding around like a drawer that's come off its tracks. When you plant your foot and cut left in basketball, the ACL is what stops your knee from twisting apart. When you land from a jump and your knee tries to buckle, the ACL is screaming, "Not today." Without it, your knee becomes unstable. Your shin can slide forward about the width of a dime. Your knee can rotate way more than it should. And here's the problem. Human movement is incredibly precise. 1 degree of unwanted movement at the knee becomes 3 degrees at the ankle and 6 degrees at the hip. It's like trying to build a tower on a wobbly table. Everything above starts falling apart. This is why torn ACLs destroy careers. Derrick Rose, one of the most explosive players the NBA has ever seen, tore his ACL in 2012. He came back, but he was never the same. That explosion, that first step that made him unstoppable, it was just gone. Here's a stat that'll make you wince. In the NFL, only about 63% of players who tear their ACL ever play another game. And those who do? Their performance drops by 20 to 30% on average. So how the hell is Lindsey Vonn going to ski down a mountain at 80 miles per hour? Because ski boots are basically cheating. Here's what most people don't understand about ski boots. They're not shoes. They're more like medieval armor for your lower leg. The shell is made from reinforced thermoplastic, the same stuff they use in bulletproof vests. Your ankle can barely move. We're talking 15 degrees of flex max. A basketball shoe? 45 degrees of movement. Running shoes? Unlimited. Imagine strapping a cast to your leg, but one that's been perfectly molded so you can still move forward. That's a ski boot. You literally cannot twist your ankle or rotate your knee the way you could in normal shoes. And here's the beautiful part. When Vonn is tucked and bombing downhill, she's not cutting. She's not pivoting. She's not doing any of the movements that need an ACL. Her legs are just rigid posts transferring her weight into the skis. The boot is basically doing the job the ACL would normally do. It's external stability replacing internal stability. There's actually a crazy historical example of this. 1998 Olympics in Nagano, Japan. Austrian skier Hermann Maier has one of the most violent crashes in Olympic history. We're talking full-speed cartwheel down the mountain, tumbling through safety fences. The kind of crash where you're thinking, there's no way he's walking away from this. He walked away. 3 days later, he won 2 gold medals. His ski boots literally saved his legs from snapping like twigs. But here's where it gets interesting. The boot can only do so much. Vonn's muscles have to pick up the slack, specifically her hamstrings. Those muscles on the back of your thigh, they pull your shin bone backward, which is exactly what the ACL would normally do. After an ACL injury, you basically train your hamstrings to become a backup ACL. It's like your body creating its own workaround. And Vonn has been skiing for over 20 years at the highest level. Her muscle memory is insane. She's done these movements so many times that her body doesn't even think about it anymore. It's all autopilot. Think about tying your shoes. You don't think, okay, left lace over right lace, pull through the loop. You just do it. That's Vonn's entire nervous system on skis. 20,000 hours of repetition have hardwired every movement. But here's the problem nobody talks about. When your ACL tears, you don't just lose stability. You lose your knee's ability to communicate with your brain. Inside that ligament are thousands of tiny sensors feeding your brain constant information. Where's my knee? How much weight is on it? Am I about to fall? This is called proprioception. It's how you know where your body is in space without looking. Try this. Close your eyes and touch your nose with your finger. Easy, right? That's proprioception. Now imagine if the nerves in your arm were partially cut. You'd still have the muscles, but you'd be guessing where your arm is. That's what Vonn is dealing with. She's flying down a mountain at 80 miles per hour with partial sensory blackout in her knee. And there's another issue. Her knee right now is swollen with fluid. It's like trying to drive a car with worn-out shock absorbers. Everything feels mushy. Her power transfer is reduced. Her edge control isn't as crisp. She's probably lost 10 to 15% of her performance. In a sport where races are decided by hundredths of a second, that's massive. But the real nightmare? One wrong move and she's not just re-injuring the ACL. She could destroy the meniscus, that cartilage cushion in your knee. Cartilage doesn't heal. You lose enough of it. You're looking at bone grinding on bone. Permanent arthritis. And at 41, with knees that have already been through hell, she doesn't have the recovery capacity of a 25-year-old. Or she could tear multiple ligaments at once. That's an 18-month recovery with multiple surgeries. It's the kind of injury that ended careers for guys like Brian Cushing and Jordy Nelson. They came back, sure, but they were shadows of what they used to be. One fall could end everything. So why risk it? Because Lindsey Vonn is 41 years old and the clock has run out. She retired in 2019 because her body was literally falling apart. Bone-on-bone knees, nerve damage. She needed a knee replacement just to walk normally. But in 2024, she did something almost nobody does. She got the knee replacement, spent 6 months in brutal rehab, and came back to professional skiing. Not for a farewell tour, not for sponsorship money. For one last shot at Olympic gold. And not just any Olympics. Milan Cortina 2026. In Italy, where she won some of her greatest victories, where the mountains feel like home. This was supposed to be her perfect ending. Her goodbye. Proof that willpower can beat time. And then, 6 weeks before the Olympics, her knee exploded. Here's what makes this even more heartbreaking. She's racing for her mother, who died of ALS in 2022. A disease that slowly paralyzes you while your mind stays sharp. Vonn watched her mom lose the ability to move while staying mentally trapped inside. She's racing for her childhood coach, who passed away last August. The guy who saw a fearless kid from Minnesota and turned her into a champion. She's racing because champions don't end on an injury report in a training run in Switzerland. And here's the thing about athletes at this level. They're wired differently. You and I hear you could permanently destroy your knee and think, absolutely not worth it. They hear it and start calculating odds. Has anyone done this before? Actually, yes. And here's where it gets wild. Lindsey herself has admitted she's competed with a torn ACL earlier in her career. She didn't tell anyone. She just taped it up and raced. In 2008, Swedish skier Anja Persson was winning Olympic medals while skiing on a partially torn ACL. She didn't get surgery until after she retired. The skiing world doesn't advertise this, but it happens more than you'd think. Did it always work? Hell no. In 2022, Breezy Johnson, Vonn's US teammate, tried to do exactly this. Same injury, same timeline, same Olympics dream. She had to pull out. The pain was too much. The instability was too dangerous. But here's the difference. Vonn has 82 World Cup victories. That's more than any other woman in history. She stood on the top of the podium 82 times. She's won on every mountain range where World Cup races happen. She's beaten men in training runs. There's a famous story from 2010. Vonn was injured, couldn't train on the women's course, so she trained with the men's team instead. She was keeping pace with them. Grown men who outweigh her by 50 pounds, and she's matching their times. Her longtime rival and friend, Maria Höfel-Risch from Germany, once said, "Lindsey doesn't ski like a human. She skis like gravity forgot to apply to her." The question isn't whether she can do this. The question is whether her knee will hold together for 90 seconds. February 9th, 2026, Cortina d'Ampezzo, Italy. Olympic downhill. She'll click into her bindings. The same bindings she's used for 15 years because she's superstitious about changing equipment. She'll settle into the starting gate wearing bib number 26 because she specifically requested it, her age when she won her first Olympic gold. And she'll push off with a ligament that no longer exists. The boot will do its job. The hamstrings will fire. Her brain will run a program written by 2 decades of repetition. And for 90 seconds, willpower and physics will go to war. Is it medically smart? No doctor would recommend this. Is it biomechanically possible? The science says maybe. Is it insane? Absolutely. Is it worth the risk? That's not my call. That's hers. And she already made it the second she stood up from that crash in Switzerland. I'm Sebastian. This has been the Injury Breakdown. And on February 9th, we're all going to find out if legends are made of ligaments or something stronger.